Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the Project Race GP channel. We're here for the Baku Grand Prix. We're going to jump straight into qualifying, intermediate weather conditions for qualifying 1, 2 and 3, but it is going to be a dry race. You can see how much we're struggling on traction already. The setups for this track are low downforce as you'd expect. It's mostly one straight. I decided not to run a wet setup for qualifying and instead prioritize the race, because I mean at the end of the day it's still a bunch of long straights no matter what conditions you're in, so you need the low downforce, and I figured points and positions are gained in the race, not qualifying. We can always make our positions in the race, and this is one of my better tracks. We're running slightly higher AI here than everywhere else. I think we're doing 105 or 106 for this race. This was my first lap in intermediate conditions on this track in a long time though, so you can see in most traction zones I'm struggling quite a lot. There's not as many lockups happening as I assumed there would be. We've had some good runs through some of the corners. I'm deciding only to do one run per session, and I think overall this is gonna go well. Qualifying went super well, as you'll see later. Every lap we did ended up faster than our teammate, except for this one actually, I think. But it is enough to get us into Q2, which we're going to skip to in just a moment. You can see going ever so slightly behind Ocon, but we're going to advance to the Q2 lap. I'm much more confident in these settings now. You're going to see there's going to be less wheel spin through these traction zones, less lockups, more consistency. I do love wet weather conditions. I feel like it is the true test of a driver's skill and ability and focus. It really does get you to treat the car nicely, otherwise it will bite back at you, which is why I prefer full wet conditions compared to intermediates and dries. I think it makes better racing. It's more fun to drive. It brings out the best in the drivers, because you can play a lot safer in dry conditions because you know the car's gonna grip up and stuff, but if you're complacent in wet conditions then you will end up in a barrier with your car in two parts. So that's why I love wet conditions so much. So in a way I'm quite grateful for the rain in this qualifying conditions. I would have preferred it to be full wet conditions, but I'm not a god and I can't change the weather conditions, so we'll have to deal with what it is for now. But I am really enjoying this. We've had some pretty good corners and exits throughout this lap. As you can see, 2 green sectors already, no purples this time around. I think we end up P3 at the end of this lap in Q2. Good run through the S's, almost touching the inside and outside wall there, running it out in 7th. Probably should have shifted up to 8th there just to save the engine a little bit. This race is going to be really bad on tyre wear, as you are on the rev limiter for quite a substantial part of the lap. So we might have to think about swapping an engine component or two at the end of this race. We go on to Q3 now. You can see Norris is P8, just ahead of Guan Yu Zhou, and just behind the 2 Alpines. Everyone in the midfield is stupendously closely matched right now, and any good race, any good lap in qualifying will put each of the midfield teams ahead of the other. So we really do need to maximise each weekend we come into. We've nailed the apex of the left-hander at the end of the second straight there, but we've ruined the exit. So did we gain time on our Q2 lap? Probably not, probably quite neutral. There is quite a large amount of wheel spin this lap. However, I will say this lap is the fastest lap that we did in all of the qualifying seconds. Obviously not over the whole weekend because the race goes to dry conditions and if we were slower in dry conditions and intermediate conditions, we're definitely doing something wrong. But no, I'm feeling quite confident in these intermediate conditions. In a sense, I wish that the race was intermediate conditions as well, just because I was quite in tune with the intermediate conditions, and like I said before, it makes better racing in my opinion. However, no matter what race you do, the AI are insane, so we'll see what happens. Purple sector 2, which is a very promising sign. We could be on for pole position here if we play our cars right. Get a good run again. Probably should have ran it in 8th through there, but we will continue down to the line, making the distance we travel as short as possible. And it is indeed going to be pole position for this race. No hesitation though, we're going to jump straight into it. First time on pole in this car, and well, any car in this career mode. We do get a lot of wheel spin though, even though we are on the softs compared to everyone else in the mediums. We lose 3 positions, but Perez goes in deep, so we get a good switchback on him. I'll explain why we're on an alternate strategy in just a minute, as we're going to try and catch back up to Verstappen. We get a big lock-up moment, but we do manage to get the car thrown into the corner. Loads of wheel spin and exit, but we have made a decent gap behind already. Although everyone on this first lap is going to be using their ERS, so we have to make sure that we're careful about the surrounding cars. We almost run it into the back of Verstappen there. We get a terrible run, and that has brought Perez right back into our 1 second cushion that we had before, and a terrible exit just to top it off means we're a second behind now Verstappen, and very vulnerable to Perez behind. Again, more wheel spin. The tyres, I checked because I thought they were already overheating, but they're really not. I guess it just must be the nature of the softs here. We're trying to run the softs to, I think we're going to plan to do a soft medium medium to go ultra aggressive and try and stay ahead of the AI. But you can see Perez here, he's had a great run out of the exit of that chicane. We can look to the inside. We decide to not go for it, as a move into there can be extremely risky. So we're going to follow Perez now for the rest of the lap. We're now 2 seconds behind Verstappen. Again, another terrible exit which has brought Russell right into it. He could get us if we're not careful, but we are running less downforce than everyone else in this field. That is perhaps what is causing all of our wheel spin and lockups. So we're going to go to his inside or outside, I don't know on a straight. We go to his right side, and it is quite a simple move around the outside, although he is keeping his nose in. We go all the way down to 5th. I don't want to over-rotate the car by going down to 4th. You can see we moved the brake bias back to 53 in order to not spin the car. We go to the apex a little bit early to try and block off Russell, although at the end of lap 3 he did get us. But we're going to skip to lap 4 now. We're going to do a pretty cheeky pit entrance by getting a really long slipstream off of Russell. We actually touched the barrier there, but luckily we didn't get any damage, which is rare for playing on sim damage. Obviously the optimal pit entrance is not difficult to not get the optimal pit entrance on this game. We go on to the mediums, and this is our first stop. Honestly, I was really hoping to stretch the softs, maybe even to lap 7 possibly, if we were really nice on them, 8, but because of how much we were spinning the wheels, we had to come in on lap 4. This strategy was only going to work if we pitted then, but we're going to skip to lap 8. We're trying to make the most out of these by, being gentle but also fast at the same time. We've got up to this group of cars now on the back of Hamilton, who's been held up basically this entire race by slower cars ahead of him. For example, Magnussen and Vettel just ahead. We set a purple last sector as we go down into turn 1, ahead of the Mercedes of Hamilton. He could be a close rival in this championship if we can start improving the car more and getting good finishes instead of DNFs like last race. We're going to activate the overtake. Can we get 2 cars in 4 corners and go all the way around this outside? We decided to brake early, but we still managed to go all the way around the outside because he gets a terrible line into the apex. An illegal overtake, but it goes straight back away as he gets past. When we send it back down his inside, there is no way he is going to be able to defend from that. We're going to skip to later in this lap now, where we are on the back of Vettel. We've made 8 tenths to Magnussen, so he's not going to be a threat down this straight. DRS, lower downforce, they're not going to be able to compete with that. Even though we do have the same engine, R1 is substantially better. So we're up to P12, we've cleared most of the traffic now. We're going to skip now all the way to lap 16 where everyone has made their pit stops. We've still got one more to do and everyone else is on the hards. We're still ahead of Russell, although we get terrible traction. You can see our tyres are orange in the bottom, which means they're around 60%. It goes all the way around our outside. We get a stupendous amount of wheel spin. We've locked up and we are out. We have done a Leclerc and we are out of the second race, the Baku Grand Prix, and that is 2 DNFs in 2 races. That is absolutely heartbreaking.
Put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
And that's it. I'll see you guys next episode. That is heartbreaking. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.